I know you, KK, because I've been in several of your groups, and I just love what your story is and what you have to offer. And I know I want to talk about you a little bit, but I'm going to start with talking about me to get that out of the way, because we don't have much info on my bio. I've been retired for about 8 years, and I'd retired from union contract negotiations and did labor relations background and labor law for a number of years, and did a lot of management and business training and taught a lot of business classes. Did in those days, did, you know, in the old days, I did Dale Carnegie and also the Steve Covey, you know, the 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, a lot of the conventional training I did. And I also am a Kriya Yoga practitioner, and I'm a certified yoga instructor, and have done many meditation classes and taught meditation and taught yoga. So I'm pretty, I think, multidiscipline, and have a broad interest in the experience of life, and a lot of experience in life too, so to speak, because of the many years that I've been alive. So KK is also a very experienced person in the business world. She's had her own business for 30 years, insurance. She's done a great job, very, very successful with that. She's been a national speaker, and she's also a yoga and a meditation teacher. She's Kriya certified, both levels 1 and 2, and she's had much experience with law of attraction. I don't know how to say that, but she's a connoisseur of law of attraction, and she talks about it and teaches it very well. She does what I love, are vision boards. She's just really good at that. And as I understand, you're doing work with teenagers right now, and helping them work on their vision boards and get connected with their law of attraction ideas. So talk a little bit, you want to fill in some points there? We'll talk about you at the end too, so just so you know, because we're going to talk about your upcoming events, but go ahead and talk about yourself to start with.
Yeah, everything you said is, you know, right on the mark. The only thing that I have done over this last year is Reiki. I'm level 1 and 2 and becoming a master Reiki certified at the end of this month. So I've always felt like I probably did energy work. I just didn't know what it was called until I started, you know, dabbling in it. And then I went, oh, this is exactly this is my forte. And I can use it in my coaching as well. And then I found out that some medical plans cover Reiki. So people can get life coaching from me, and then maybe get it covered from their insurance, which is lovely. So, but everything you've said is true. And yes, my love is the law of attraction, and how to use it, and how to teach people how to use it, because it's changed my world. So I don't know if you want me to start in on my story, or would you like to?
Well, what we're going to do, we had a few questions, and we had a few points of focus that we were going to work on today with you, or discuss with you today. And I love that you threw in that you're covered by insurance. I think that's awesome. I'm so grateful that insurance companies, that's your expertise and background, 30 some years in insurance. So if anybody knows, you know how to handle it and what's what. So I'm glad to hear that. And I'm hoping also that now with this experience that we've had with healthcare being so overwhelmed, and the need for everybody to be able to have access to healthcare, that it's going to change the whole face of healthcare, and insurance is certainly a big part of our healthcare system here. So I'm sure a lot of things are going to happen with that, and you're probably very well aware of that too. So I want to start out, we had a couple of points that we were going to talk about you, that we put out there, was what do you see after this experience of the COVID-19, and how do you manifest your dreams? And you know, the thing about this, how do you benefit from this pandemic, I think is a really great initial start, because I know you have your stories about how you survived your pandemics, and that's what we put up there, KK's pandemics, and I love to hear them. So why don't you start with that?
So I believe I've had 2 pandemics before this one, which this one seems like a vacation compared to the other ones. The first one was when my child got cancer and had 10 major surgeries. But in the process of these surgeries, one of them was really major for me. They were all major, but this one was an enlightening of rockets of desire of what I don't want and what I do want. And as I was going through it with my child, you know, I'm in the hospital dealing with the things I have to deal with the doctors, living in fear, but trying to go into gratitude and love, knowing that's really important to love my doctors and my nurses for my child and such. But knowing that my life was not, I was not happy. I was not happy in general. And it was up to that point, being in this new cancer pandemic for my child, I realized I have been living a life of personal lies and trying to keep up with the Joneses, had a beautiful house, had a lovely car, had this business, but really wasn't following my heart, and my going to unconditional love for myself first. And so when I woke up through all this, I realized the 2008 pandemic happened where the mortgage companies were, you know, turning, everything was upside down. I realized I had no money. I was in debt. My husband hadn't been working for 10 years. And I call it leasing my life to keep up with the next thing in life that made me feel better from outside attachments versus working on the inside of me. And when I started seeing this, well, first thing I knew was I wasn't probably supposed to be married anymore. And I let go of my relationship, which caused a lot of pain for me and also my partner. And there was a lot of time and forgiveness. I had to work on myself and myself. Forgive myself and stop being the victim and stop being in fear and start letting go of attachments so I could be a better person. And I started just asking for help from the people who were around me, saying, I need a little help. And I made a list of everything I needed. And I kind of just said, this is what I need. And you guys know what you're good at and you can help me in these places. I would love it. And it was kind of like rebuilding KK1 to KK2, you know? And in the process, as I was rebuilding myself, my child was doing great. I was being grateful for just having a roof over my head and my car would start in the morning. And I learned to not have any credit cards anymore. I used cash for everything. And when I ran out of cash, I said, okay, that's enough fun for me. And then I got into yoga and meditation, which totally changed my life. Because then I was able to work on the internal side of me and realize I was so attached to external things to make me happy that when I learned it, I was like, I'm not attached to any of this stuff. And as soon as I was like ready to like let it go, then things started coming to me in ways I could never expect, like my house and I wanted a fun convertible. And I got a fun convertible for a friend who said, I don't need this car anymore. And you let me stay at your house for a month and it's yours now, you know? And I really just started falling in love. And then someone said to me down the road, it's like, do you know Abraham Hicks, which is a person who talks about the law of attraction? And I said, no. And she was like, you definitely lived the life of Abraham Hicks already. And I said, well, I guess when you're on the path and moving spiritually in the right direction, letting go and meditating and following my intuition is the key. Following my intuition is what brought me pure pleasure and happiness. And then really seeing the signs that I was going the right direction. And in the meantime, as I said, I manifested a house, cars, my boyfriend, you know, I mean, just I'm at so much peace in this pandemic because I've lived other pandemics to know sometimes you just have to let it go, but you got to live in love. You got to live in love and get out of the victim fear mode as much as possible. And it doesn't mean I don't get in it. There will be days where it clicks on, but I have the tools now as a coach to switch it really quickly. I mean, like within hours. But before, I would live in it for days or weeks or 10 years, you know? And once you learn it and you have it, you go, oh, there I go, going back into my own path. Let's fix that right away. So that's where I've been going. And I love this pandemic.
Wow. That's a bold statement. I love that. I love that, courage. I actually have found this to be a good experience too. So I'm on the same page with you on that. There's a couple of points I want to digress a little bit in this subject area with you. If you could give us a real brief background, because I love this story you tell all the time about how you got your recent periwinkle Mercedes.
Yeah, so I have this beautiful vision as I drive. I always like looking at cars. That's when I get my most momentum going as I drive. I think about business ideas and things. And I'll see a beautiful car and I'll go, oh, that would be nice to have that periwinkle Mercedes. And I see it every once in a while, but it's so rare to see it. So when I see it, I go, there you are. And so I told, one time I was driving my partner who had heart transplant at Stanford. We would go up to Stanford and we saw this car often. And we were like, oh, there's my car. And he goes, and I talked as it already is, right? And he goes, oh, and I don't think I even thought he was listening, but he was listening. And so a couple months later, he's headed to his rehab for his heart work. And he pulls in, and right next to him is this periwinkle Mercedes that pulls in. And then he looked over and he realized it was the doctor he had met with 2 weeks before, and they had a connection, a really strong connection. So he walked out of the car and says, is that your car? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, oh, my wife would love that car. And he goes, well, it's for sale. And he goes, really? And he goes, well, how much? And he goes, 55. And he goes, no, we're not looking to spend 55,000. He goes, no, it's only $5,500. And my partner said, what? It like head spin, like, oh my gosh, we need to talk about this car, And next thing you know, we're talking about it, we're getting it. And the funny thing is, when we started talking to the guy about the car on the phone, I kept teasing him, like, is that my car? Is that your car? And he says, oh, I don't know. And so my partner calls me Penelope. And so he got on the phone with the guy, and we're on the speakerphone, and he goes, I just want to let you know, you guys, there's a special paint for this car, and it's called Penelope paint. And I went, that's my car. I told you it was my car. So the car is Penelope. My boyfriend calls me Penelope, and we it came about. But I had been looking at it for like good 15 years.
Wow,
it didn't happen overnight.
That's great. The other little story, and that makes me think of this other little story I love that you tell about when your fiance had his heart attack and he had to go into surgery, how you decorated his room. Remember that?
Oh yeah. So, hospital rooms
in the hospital.
They're just, they're so blah, it's like, I don't even know how you can live in those rooms, but the people that come in are so kind and loving. But what I did is, he was in the hospital for 3 months. So it was January, February, and March. So I went to the dollar store and spent probably $10, and I bought all these little red dollies and I put them all over the room. And I put, thank you to the donor family, because we hadn't gotten the heart yet. Thank you to the doctors. Thank you to the nurses. I was just thanking everybody for this experience. I also wanted him to feel the love of the energy that I put in the walls, knowing when I wasn't there, I loved him. And everybody who walked in the room go, wow, I've never seen a room like this, And he's like, yeah, that's my girl. She's all visionary. She does all this stuff. I put a vision board on the wall as well of what I wanted to see our love look like after this was all done. And it attracted people to come in the room. They were all attracted to come in. And even doctors or nurses we didn't have would just show up and say, hi, let me see your room. Oh, wow, it looks nice. But the interesting thing is, you would always have a Buddhist come through, or a doctor or a minister come in and say, can we help you? Would you like us to say a prayer? This Buddhist woman walked in and she looked at the walls and she looked at Peter in the bed, and I was sitting on the side, and she says, I see my work has already been done here, in such a calm Buddhist way. And we laughed, and he laughed and says, yes, because of her, I have a lot of peace here, And it was just so magical that you know, and every time a heart fell off the wall, Peter would say, my heart's coming tonight, it's falling down. You know, it was like we had a lot of laughter, we had a lot of fun with it, but we changed the energy of the room, and that was powerful, really, really powerful.
That's a
So,
great story. And just so everybody knows for sure, he was waiting for a heart transplant, which he got. So that's a pretty darn big deal. So that's a great story. And another whole story. I want to, and we're going to come back at the end because I want to review with you and talk a little bit about the tools that you use to create your vision and your law of attraction energy. But I just want to touch for us a minute before I do that on the other topic of what have you learned, or what is there to be learned maybe about this experience that we're having now?
this experience we're having now, again, is showing you rockets of desire, what you don't want and what you do want in your life. And you can make a change. You can make a change to your life to make it like amazing, amazing in your life, just by being not attached to everything you have in your life and letting it kind of go. And not go like in the sense of no house, or, you know, you got to have the things that take care of you, but start really following your heart center, like putting one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly and going, is this giving me peace, or is this just filling my ego? And really flowing with, is this something I should be loving right now, or is this something in the future? Because not everything you can change immediately, right? But starting to unattach to things, unattached to people, unattached to the news. We don't even watch the news. At first we did, and then I started seeing myself spiral. And I'm like, nope, not going to watch the news anymore. But it doesn't mean I don't get news. I go on Google, I look it up. What's going on? You know, I control the energy of what's coming to me. The news is trying to attract me to stay on that channel. And so it's learning to, with tools, to work on yourself, to better yourself. And I think this is a great opportunity of awakening. Look at our planet. It's so much cleaner, so much more beautiful than it was, you know, 4 or 5 months ago. And it's just a real great awakening right now.
Great.
So,
And I just a little piece of that, and I know this is the premise for many different rules of thoughts, or many thinkers, but especially in the law of attraction, that we have invited this pandemic. And for me, that's a big step to just be at peace with that, because everything that comes to you, you attract. So there's a certain kind of, okay, this is what I wanted, so what am I going to do about it, and how is it going to work for me? So you can take that attitude and as opposed to, you know, saying, oh, evil things always happen to me, and why is everything going wrong all the time? I think it's a really powerful switch, and I know law of attraction has really helped me make that switch. What do you think?
oh, I think it's exactly the switch, on and off, you know. You can be in fear, you can be a victim, you can look at it as everybody's attacking you, versus you are the controller of your life. You have a choice to be with a person in your life or not be with that person in your life. You have a choice to be in that job or not in that job. And it's taking your ego out of all of this and going, okay, this job doesn't do me good, but I could get a job at Starbucks for a while just to have some medical benefits and whatever, and have more fun with young energy around again, and then kind of refine myself again, right? I think this is what people don't realize. They get so caught up in their ego of, well, I can't take I'm a CEO, I mean, or VP, I can't take a lower job than that. Why not? Why not go take a different job because you're having more fun, you know? It's about having more fun in life. Life is very short. I've lost 2 friends in the last week, and I worked with one while she was going through cancer, and I'm like, we need to find joy through this. We don't know how long you're on this planet, but let's find some joy through the process. And she's like, KK, I need joy. I need joy. Of course you do, right? But it's really just finding within yourself and letting it go and moving on and being happy finding pleasure, clearing your, this is a great time. We're home for another month in California. Clear everything in your house. Get rid of it, If it doesn't bring you joy, let it go,
Thank you. That's wonderful.
If it doesn't bring you joy, including men, women, people, friends, TVs, everything. Don't do it all at one time, please, people. But look at, does this person bring me joy or not? I used to hear it as an asset or a liability person, right? Just look at everything and make better choices. And if you do that in this next pandemic we have, because we will have another one, and 10 years, 20 years will happen, you will be in such a better place. I mean, I went for this PP loan for my business. I didn't get the funding. I didn't care. I said, okay, it'll come through. I got it approved 2 days ago. Not a problem. It was like the easiest piece of cake I'd ever done. But I'm watching people saying, I'm online, I can't get it. Everybody's like feeding the energy. I can't get it. I can't get it. And I just sat back and went, if it's meant to be for me, it will happen. And it happened so easily. So easily.
That is great.
It took timing. It took timing, and I didn't sweat it, and it came through. So
great.
Easily.
Good. That's wonderful. That's a great pop about the wonderful good things that happen if you have your energy out there in the right place. I know that you just released that video you did on, was it visioning board? I watched it, and I remember when I watched it, you look beautiful today, but when you did that, I could see that you look like, you were kind of just sitting at home, maybe very relaxed, didn't have your hair done or anything done. I thought, I wonder why she didn't get dressed up for the video. And when I was talking to you about it, I didn't say that, but then you said, you know what, I wanted to just look like everybody else looks today. We're all sitting at home, we're all sort of not putting our makeup on or combing our hair or whatever. And you wanted to relate to that. And I thought I just thought that is really a wonderful thing to think about and make that connection with. And I love that video. Do you want to say anything about that video?
Well, that video is for anybody who would like to know how to make a vision board. I did it on a Saturday morning, and it was for everybody who participated in my vision board classes to have a recap and listen to it again. Because when I do my classes, I give so much information. People really can't get their whole board done. So it was a chance for them to play it in the background and maybe keep working on their board and hear my message again. And like I said, anybody on this call or wants it, they can reach out to me and I'll send it to them. But I wanted people to just, before this pandemic, I did all of this, right? And I was like, you know what? I just want to show up on a Saturday morning and like, hey, here it is. Let's go for it. Let's just put this together and work on our 2020 vision or our vision of whatever year. Just put it out there, because when I tell you to do a vision board, it might not come up through this year. Like my car, it took 15 years to get that car, right? But that car kept going down in price, so it was not a big deal to buy a $5,500 car to me, right? But it was always out there in my vision. And so, yeah, I love to do vision boards and help people think about the future, which is a great thing to do right now in this pandemic, is to get out of, okay, where am I talking? Watch your mindset. Oh my gosh, here I am talking to this negative Nelly again about things. And I'm going to turn it into the positive, positive Penelope. And I'm going to work on changing my mindset. And every time I do, I had a friend at one time, I had her put rubber band on her. And I said, just kind of slowly snap yourself and say, oh, I just did it again. Because really we have 50 to 75,000 stinking thinking thoughts every day. But as you start working on the mindset to more positive Penelope thoughts, I think I have less than maybe 1,000 in my head, and I still have to turn it around, but it happens, And so I'd love to share that with people so they can start visualizing. And by the way, if you're locally, I have so many magazines that I need to get rid of. If you need magazines, I have like 200 to 300 magazines. I could just leave them outside my front door at my house and you're welcome to take them. And I haven't touched them at all in months. I would just pick them up and put them outside, go through and take as many as you want. So that way you can make your boards.
You've been collecting those for your vision boards. Are you doing some vision board workshops for teenagers? Do you want to say something about working with teenagers?
So right now I'm working with teenagers because they're kind of lost in this story as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they're seeing their parents lost, and the parents have said, hey, my kids need some resources. I don't think they need counseling. They need a trainer to think differently right now. And so I've been working with these young, 14 is the average age is the good age is like that 8th grade year, 13, 14-year-old going into high school, and helping them kind of imagine what high school looks like for them, and imagine them, they're changing friends again and how they're going to handle it, and they're missing out on the activities, but rebuilding their hearts, rebuilding how grateful they are right now. We talk about how they have no homework. Isn't that great? They're like, yeah. And I teach them how to visualize. And I said, you just be in the car and start like fantasizing about like a motorcycle or a plane in the sky or whatever you see. And when your parents will say, hey, did you hear me? And they're, no, I was working on KK's work. You can tell them that because, they're paying for me to help you work on this stuff. But you need to be working on finding your vision. And it's totally helped these kids through this whole pandemic. I just talked to one the other day and I said, how's it going? And he's like, really great. The first time I talked to him at the beginning of this, how are you doing? He goes, I don't like this and I don't know what to do. And I said, okay. And every week, and I just got a testimonial from his mom saying, I'm his lifeline through all of this. And it just made me like, as I get goosebumps again, we all are each other's lifelines if we're positive and moving forward. And I was just so pleased that he's getting me, and he says, you get teenagers. And the way I get them is I just have fun and I just play and I just do it with them. And I stayed in a way. And when I'm not being cool, I said, okay, I'm not being cool, am I? And he goes, well, yeah. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I get it. I'm older. I'm not that cool. But I teach him and he hears it. And I show him the videos. And I share Netflix and things like that to get them in tune to be positive versus negative, and seeing everything as an opportunity. So it's
Great.
been really powerful.
That's great. The connection, the mindset is everything, and the connection with other generations is also a way of breaking boxes or breaking down, ideas and patterns of behaving. If you can connect with a younger generation or even a older generation, then it helps you get out of your own head a lot. And working with young people, I think, is such a great skill and great way of giving, because there's so much on their plate and they've got so much to do that's coming up. Then any energy that can be provided in the positive way that you're doing it is really, really wonderful and a blessing. And thank you so much, KK, for doing that. I know you probably are loved by those teenagers with your energy.
I just love them. I mean, I get off the phone and Peter looks at me and he says, you need more of those clients. And I said, I do, because they just fill my bucket and I know I'm filling their bucket. And it feels so great. For 1 hour, we're just like, it's like being in jazzercise, or, it's so energetic. We get off the phone and I'm like, wow, that was great,
That's great. Well, before we just finish up with talking a little bit about what you've got going on in terms of, I know you've got a retreat, and I don't know, because things are a little bit still on the who knows what's going to happen next side. You may or may not have some workshops, but I want to give you a chance to talk about that. And I just want to be sure everybody has a chance to ask any questions by raising their hand, or they can unmute themselves or put it into the chat box. Any kind of questions, that's fine. We're going to send a follow-up email with the video, audio, not the video probably, but just the audio for sure, to everybody who's here today, and how to contact, reminders of how to contact KK and myself. So KK, do you want to say anything at the end here about, I know you've got your retreat plans. Are they still on the table? What's happening?
Good news. You're going to be happy about this.
Yay.
I just booked a place. I'm going to do it locally because I still feel like we're not sure what's going on in the future. But I just booked a place at the beach in Santa Cruz, Monterey County, for a week. So I'll have people probably, for most people think about 4 days, to teach them how to do yoga on the beach how to do walking meditation, sitting meditation, vision boards. I'll be doing, I'm also doing angel card readings now. So we'll be doing that, and Reiki with people. And that will probably be my favorite time of the year, is in October and the beginning of November. I haven't picked a date yet because I'm still waiting for all of this to roll out. But yeah, and then to kind of get everybody in the mood who are local, I have a rooftop yoga class that's going to happen here in San Jose, which will be on an evening, where we'll the people who join for the retreat get to go to the rooftop yoga here in San Jose with yoga and a little meditation. And I'm not always big into cocktails, but maybe if people want to have a cocktail, there will be cocktails served and a jacuzzi, just to kind of get to know each other and see, how, just start bonding together. And then we'll all head to the retreat probably a couple of weeks later. So that's something I have to look forward to once we can get out of this time and know when we can start spending more time together. So I'm really excited about that. Of course, I'm coaching one-on-one with people. Working with a company as well as coaching their employees as they're going through their transitions and helping out there. So yeah, my things right now is working with teenagers, our children over probably 8 or 9 years old, working with women in transition like myself, who's gone through a divorce, who's gone through things with special needs children, or a woman I ran my own business for 30 years. I can help you with these things. And then also the retreats and, probably vision boards again at the end of the year with the retreat or the beginning of the year, or I'll just do another video so people can do it on their own time. Lots of things to look forward to, and enjoying myself in the process of taking time for myself to slow down as well.
For sure. And we're going to follow up with, like I said, sending out a thank you email for those who participated with your contact information on it. Do you have, I don't think you have a web page. Do you have a web page or a Facebook page?
I have a web page in design right now, and
Okay.
It's not available. But what I do is I feel like Facebook and Instagram is like the best blogging material you can do. So I post every day on both Instagram and Facebook underneath Kklifecoach. And I made it simple so you can find me, and I post every day, and I try to send whatever fills my bucket, I put out there for everybody else, because I want people to be able to go to it and go, I need this today. I'm going to follow her. And it's wonderful because I get a lot of great feedback from people. And just so people know, if they're also doing this as a business, you don't really realize how much you're giving to people until you run into them at a store or out in the neighborhood. They're like, I just love your Facebook. It gives so much to me. And then I realized I got to do more. I got to do more of it. So that's where I blog. I don't send out a lot of emails to people. It's just not my thing, but I put information out on those two venues, and then you can go to my website. Probably by the summer, it'll be up and running, and I'll send it out if people want to join my mailing list. But I'm not a regular emailer.
Great. I know that we got a big thank you for your positive energy boost from Nancy, and we'll get some good feedback from this. It's been a real pleasure talking with you, KK. I love your energy and your stories. We didn't even do all your stories. I think we did like one or two of maybe two, one and a half stories. So you've got great stories about how life has worked out for you. And just in closing, anything you want to add before we finish, KK?
I want everybody to realize, if you can, this pandemic, the positive things. If you can wake up every morning and think what you're grateful for, it will change your world. If you could turn off the TV in the evenings and only watch funny things, happy things, it'll help your dreams, which will then help you wake up in the morning feeling happier. Start with those little things now. And if you want more, contact me, and we'll find lots of good tips for you that will work for you. Okay?
Ooh, thank you. That's super good advice and input. And thank you so much, KK. It's been a real pleasure. Have a great day. Stay safe, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much. Bye.
Thank
now.
you.
And stay healthy.
Stay healthy. Bye.
Yeah, bye.